You're here because you've reached the end of your rope. You've given everything, your time, your sanity, and your very soul, to someone who only knew how to take. But now, you're considering the one thing they fear most, disappearing. It's a terrifying step, isn't it? To simply stop. To go silent. You wonder if it will even matter. I'm here to tell you that it matters more than you can possibly imagine. Let's be honest with each other right now. You've spent months, maybe years, trying to explain yourself to someone who was never actually listening. You thought if you just found the right words, they would finally see the pain they caused. But they didn't. They won't. Today, we're going to talk about why stopping that search for closure is the most devastating blow you could ever deliver. It is time. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in this world, it's the ultimate expression of power. When you go no contact, you aren't just leaving a person, you're dismantling a machine that was built to consume you. You're cutting off the fuel. You've been the engine keeping their ego running for so long that you've forgotten what it feels like to just breathe. Let's look at what happens now. Most people think a narcissist is a person with too much confidence. They see the arrogance and the loud demands and assume there's a solid core there. But you and I know the truth. You've seen the cracks when the mask slips in the middle of the night. You've felt the hollowness behind those eyes. That hollowness is a hunger that can never be satisfied. It's a bottomless pit you've tried to fill. Think about the last time you tried to set a boundary. Do you remember the explosion? The way they twisted your words until you were the one apologizing for being hurt? That wasn't just a bad mood. That was a desperate defense mechanism. They need your reaction to feel real. They need your tears to feel powerful. Without your response, they start to face a reality they cannot handle. It is dark. Going no contact isn't a game or a tactic to get them back. If you're doing it to make them miss you, you're still playing their game. No, this is about something much deeper. It's about a psychological execution. You are choosing to stop existing in their world so that you can finally start existing in your own. It's the moment the puppet cuts the strings and the puppeteer is left standing alone. I want you to imagine the moment they realize the phone isn't going to ring. At first, they'll be smug. They'll think they've won because they've finally pushed you away. They'll wait for the inevitable, "I'm sorry" text. They'll wait for the long, rambling email where you pour your heart out. They're addicted to your effort. But as the days turn into weeks, that smugness turns into a very sharp dread. This dread is what we're going to explore today. We're going into the dark corners of the narcissistic mind to see exactly why your silence is a death sentence to their false self. It's not about being cruel, it's about being final. You aren't killing a person, you're killing the illusion they've used to trap you. And for someone who lives entirely within illusions, losing one is a true nightmare. You might feel guilty right now. That's because you have empathy, and they've spent a long time training you to feel responsible for their emotions. You worry that you're being mean by not responding. But ask yourself, how many times did they care about your silence when you were crying right next to them? How many times did they use their own silence to punish you? It is time to take it back. This is the beginning of the end of their reign over your life. We are going to break down the stages of their psychological collapse. You're going to understand why they panic, why they rage, and why, eventually, they wither away when they can no longer see their reflection in your eyes. This is the secret knowledge of the survivor. Sit back, take a breath, and let's look at the truth of it all. Imagine a vampire standing in front of a mirror and seeing absolutely nothing. That is the narcissist every single day. They don't have a stable core or values that remain consistent when they're alone. They rely entirely on you to tell them who they are. When you go no contact, you take that mirror away. Suddenly, they are forced to look at the blank space where a human being should actually be. To a narcissist, other people aren't individuals with feelings, they are appliances. You were the lamp that provided light, the heater that provided warmth. When you go no contact, it's like the appliance suddenly unplugged itself and walked out the door. They don't mourn the loss of your personality or your love. They mourn the loss of the service you provided. It is a cold, mechanical kind of grief. This is why they react with such disproportionate rage. If your toaster stopped working, you'd be frustrated, but you wouldn't feel like your identity was being erased. But for them, the toaster is what defines them. If they can't control you, they can't prove to themselves that they are superior. Your silence is a direct challenge to their divinity. It tells them that they are, in fact, quite ordinary. They live in a constant state of internal chaos that they project onto you. By making you upset, they transfer their inner turmoil into your heart. It's a relief for them to watch you suffer because it means they don't have to. But when you stop responding, that toxic energy has nowhere to go. It stays trapped inside them, fermenting. They are forced to drink their own poison for the very first time. Think of your attention as oxygen. They are suffocating and they are clawing at the air. This isn't dramatic hyperbole, it is their psychological reality. Without the constant validation of your reaction, even a negative one, their false self begins to starve. The grand, perfect image they've projected to the world starts to wither. They become small, desperate, and incredibly frantic to find a fix. Most people don't realize that negative attention is just as good as positive attention to a narcissist. If you're yelling at them, you're still thinking about them. If you're crying, you're still focused on them. You are still providing supply. True no contact is the removal of all energy. It is the freezing cold of absolute indifference. And in that cold, the narcissist's ego simply cannot survive. They have no internal mechanism to soothe themselves. When you were there, you were the emotional regulator. You calmed their storms and absorbed their lightning. Now, the storm is raging inside their mind, and there is no one to hold the umbrella. They are experiencing a primitive, infantile terror. It is the fear of a child left alone in the dark, but wrapped in the body of a toxic adult. Every no you say is a knife to their grandiosity. Every ignored text is a reminder that they are not the center of the universe. They spend their lives trying to convince everyone that they are special, untouchable, and elite. Your silence is the ultimate rebuttal. It says, "You are not important enough for me to even acknowledge." That realization is more painful to them than any insult could be. They will try to find a replacement, of course. They always do. But finding a source of supply like you, someone with deep empathy and patience, isn't easy. Most people see through them much faster than you did. When they can't find a new mirror, they start to decay. They become a caricature of themselves, repeating the same tired lines to anyone who will listen, but the magic is gone. You have to understand that their entire life is a performance. They are an actor on a stage, and you were the entire audience. When the audience leaves and the theater goes dark, the actor is still standing there in the spotlight, but there is no one left to clap. There is no one left to boo. There is only the silence of an empty room. And that silence is where the narcissist goes to disappear. This is where the shift happens. At first, you're the one in pain, checking your phone every 5 minutes, fighting the urge to explain your side one last time. But then, something subtle changes. You realize that the world didn't end because you stopped talking. You start to reclaim your morning coffee, your sleep, and your thoughts. You are becoming a ghost to them, and it feels like a heavy weight lifting. But don't be fooled. The narcissist senses this shift in the atmosphere. They have a sixth sense for when their prey is slipping away. Suddenly, the silence that they use to punish you becomes a threat to them. They will send a feeler text. It might be something mundane, like asking where a specific kitchen tool is, or a fake emergency. They are testing the fence to see if the electricity is still on. When you don't respond to the feeler, the panic sets in. This is the extinction burst. Imagine a person at a vending machine that won't give them their snack. They press the button. Nothing. They press it harder. Nothing. Then they start kicking the machine. That is what you're about to witness. The narcissist is going to kick the machine. They are going to escalate until they get a reaction. This is the most dangerous and dramatic part of the process. They might show up at your house, call you from blocked numbers, or send flying monkeys, friends or family members, to guilt trip you. They are trying to provoke any emotion, anger, pity, fear, it doesn't matter. They need to know they still have a hook in you. If they can make you bleed, they know you're still alive in their dark world. But here is the turning point. You stay still. You don't defend yourself against the lies. You don't explain your boundaries for the 100th time. You just exist. This is the psychological plot twist. The narcissist expects a fight, but they find a void. They expect a victim, but they find a wall. The more they scream at the wall, the more they realize how powerless they actually are against it. They might try the love bombing 2.0. You'll get a message that sounds like the person you first fell in love with. They'll promise to go to therapy, they'll apologize for things they never admitted to before. It's a performance. It's a script written to exploit your kindness. But now that you've seen behind the curtain, the words feel hollow. You see the actor, not the character. And you stay silent. The power dynamic has officially flipped. For years, you were the one waiting for their approval, their crumbs of affection, or their permission to feel okay. Now, they are the ones waiting for you. They are checking their phone. They are wondering what you're doing, who you're with, and why you don't care anymore. The hunter has become the haunted, wandering through the ruins of a dead relationship. They will then turn to the smear campaign. If they can't control you, they will try to control how others see you. They'll tell everyone you're the crazy one, the abuser, the one who abandoned them. It hurts, I know. But watch what happens. The more they talk about you, the more obsessed they look. Their desperation becomes visible to everyone with eyes. They are digging their own social grave. Your indifference is a cold, hard fact that they cannot argue with. You can argue with words, but you cannot argue with absence. Every day that passes without a word from you is a day they lose a little more of their grip on reality. They start to realize that you weren't just a part of their life, you were the life support system. And you've finally, mercifully, decided to switch it off. This is the moment of true liberation. You aren't waiting for them to change anymore. You aren't waiting for an apology that will never be sincere. You are simply done. The dramatic tension that fueled the relationship has evaporated. You are standing on the other side of the bridge and you've just dropped the match. The fire is behind you now. All that's left is for the narcissist to burn. Now we enter the dark winter of the narcissist. Without you to absorb their negativity, they begin to implode. It's like a star that has run out of fuel. It starts to collapse under its own gravity. The charm they used to wear so easily begins to fail. They look tired. They look old. The bitterness that was always simmering beneath the surface starts to leak out into every other area of their life. You might hear through the grapevine that they are struggling. Don't mistake this for a dark night of the soul that leads to growth. There is no growth for them, only decay. They are experiencing the narcissistic slump. Their work might suffer, their other relationships might crumble, and their health might even decline. This is the physical manifestation of a mind that has no peace. They will frantically search for new supply, but it's never the same. They are like an addict who can no longer get the high they need. They might cycle through partners at a terrifying speed, trying to find someone who will give them the same level of devotion and tolerance you once did. But people are getting smarter. The world is waking up to their patterns. They find themselves increasingly alone. The consequences of their behavior are finally catching up to them, and they have no one to blame. Of course, they will still try to blame you, but you aren't there to hear it. The accusations fall on deaf ears. The drama they try to create has no stage. They are shouting into a vacuum, and the only thing they hear is the echo of their own ugly voice. It is a lonely, pathetic way to exist. This is the psychological death we talked about. It's the death of their relevance. To a narcissist, being hated is okay, but being forgotten is fatal. Your no contact has rendered them irrelevant. You have deleted them from the narrative of your life. In their mind, they were the protagonist, and you were the supporting character. Now, the book has continued, and their name is never mentioned. They will spend hours stalking your social media from fake accounts, trying to find a sign that you are miserable without them. When they see you smiling, or working, or simply living, it's like a physical blow. Your happiness is the ultimate proof of their failure. Every goal you achieve and every laugh you share is a testament to the fact that they were the problem all along. It is beautiful. They are trapped in an echo chamber of their own making. Without a fresh perspective to manipulate, they are stuck with their own thoughts. And their thoughts are not kind. They are filled with envy, resentment, and a deep, gnawing sense of inadequacy. They have spent their whole life running away from the small self inside them, but without you to distract them, the small self has caught up. Watch the way they try to reinvent themselves. They might adopt a new hobby, a new personality, or even a new religion. It's all a desperate attempt to outrun the stench of their own rotting ego. But no matter where they go, there they are. They are the common denominator in every one of their failed ventures. The silence you've provided has become a mirror they can no longer look away from. It's a slow burn disaster. They don't lose everything in a day, they lose it in pieces. A friend leaves. A job is lost. A reputation is tarnished. And through it all, the silence from your end remains absolute. It is the steady heartbeat of your new life and the funeral march of their old one. They are witnessing the horrible death of their influence, and there is nothing they can do to stop it. You have to realize that this was always their destination. You were just the person standing on the tracks trying to stop the train. By stepping out of the way, you didn't cause the crash. You just stopped being a victim of it. Let the wreckage be what it is. You don't need to check on it. You don't need to clear the debris. The narcissist is finally facing the gravity they tried to ignore. There is a morning coming where you will wake up and the narcissist won't be the first thing on your mind. It sounds impossible now, but I promise it's true. You'll breathe in and the air will feel light. The constant knot in your stomach will have finally untied itself. You have survived a psychological war, and you have come out the other side with something they can never have, your soul intact. No contact wasn't just about hurting them or making them face their demons. It was about making space for you. You had to clear out the weeds so that your own garden could grow. You're rediscovering who you were before you were told you weren't enough. You're finding your voice, your hobbies, and your joy. Every day of silence is a brick in the fortress of your new, beautiful identity. You might never get the "I'm sorry" that you deserve. You might never see them admit to a single thing they did. And that's okay, because you've reached a level of healing where their validation is worthless. You don't need a thief to admit they stole from you to know that your pockets are empty. You just start earning again. You just start building again. Your truth is yours, and it is enough. Think of the silence now as a sacred boundary. It's not a wall of anger, it's a garden fence. It keeps the predators out and the peace in. You aren't being cold, you are being protective. You have learned the hard way that your empathy is a precious resource, and it is no longer available to those who seek to exploit it. You are the gatekeeper of your own energy now. That is true power. If you ever feel the urge to break the silence, just remember the person who made you feel like you were crazy for having feelings. Remember the person who looked at your tears and felt nothing but annoyance. That person hasn't changed. They are still that person, just waiting for an opening. Don't give them the satisfaction of a response. Your silence is the only language they truly understand. There is a quiet beauty in the void you've created. In that space, you can finally hear yourself think. You can hear your own intuition, which you ignored for so long. It's telling you that you are safe now. It's telling you that you are strong. You have done the hardest thing a human can do. You walked away from someone you loved because you realized they didn't love themselves or you. The narcissist will continue their cycle with someone else, and for a moment, you might feel a pang of jealousy. Don't. You aren't missing out on a romance. You're missing out on a repeat of your own trauma. You are the one who escaped the burning building. Don't look back at the people still inside with envy. Look at them with a quiet prayer, and then keep walking toward the horizon. Your life is no longer a reaction to their chaos. It is a creation of your own design. You are the director, the writer, and the star of your own story again. The horror of what no contact did to the narcissist is simply the natural consequence of a life built on lies. It's not your burden to carry. You have put the weight down, and your shoulders are finally starting to relax. It's over. Look at how far you've come. You were once a shell of yourself, wondering if you would ever feel normal again. And here you are, listening to these words, understanding the deep mechanics of your own liberation. You aren't a victim anymore. You are a master of your own destiny. You have used the power of silence to reclaim your life, and that is the greatest victory anyone could ever achieve. The narcissist lived for your attention, but they will die in your indifference. Your silence isn't just an end, it's the most beautiful beginning you will ever know. Keep going, keep healing, and never, ever look back. You have finally realized the ultimate secret. The only way to win a game with a narcissist is to stop playing. Your peace is the only revenge that actually matters. The most powerful thing you can ever say to a narcissist is absolutely nothing at all.